taking this beret off.
Ah,
The key. This is all the result of the failure of the traditional Democratic Party. Everywhere I go with Andrew Cuomo's name, they say, "Oh, he's slapping fannies and killing grannies."
maybe Trump wants him to win.
Now you're on to something, Charlie.
And I think
There's a wing of the Republican Party that feels that Zohran Mamdani as mayor is a ticket to the re-election in the midterms.
Welcome to another edition of Risk and Return. I'm Charlie Gasparino. I'm here with my partner, the granddaddy of data, both long and short, Bob Sloan from S3 Partners. We do have a special guest coming up, and we kind of want to get right to him. It's Curtis Sliwa, Republican mayoral candidate, Guardian Angel founder, Red Beret and all. He's here on Risk and Return to talk about why he thinks he can be the next mayor. And if you look at the numbers, he could be the next mayor. And he's got some very interesting thoughts about the city, about his opponents, about Zohran Mamdani, about Andrew Cuomo, about Eric Adams, and how he will run the city if elected. But first, Bob, let's get to some of your picks, because I don't want to. I mean, you got some good stuff this week, including a potential short squeeze candidate by virtue of a very sexy blonde lady in very tight jeans who blue jeans.
She was wearing a Red Sox uniform.
Oh, was she?
Which,
I
I
don't remember that one.
You know what? As a diehard Yankee fan, even I would forgive her.
Her name is Sydney Sweeney, as you know.
Yes.
She's in the American Apparel ad, causing a lot of controversy. But this controversy is that she's blonde, and she talked about good genes with a G, and that somehow that sort of was a play on white nationalism. This is what they said. I'm not saying I've written several columns about how absurd it is, but in any event, American Apparel stock has popped on all this stuff. President Trump is talking about it, trying to boost the stock. The stock was up like 30% in one day after Trump said, "I love this ad. She's so hot." What he said, she's the hottest. I mean, he said something like this. And then the stock went through the roof. And then, I said, let me ask Bob about this. If anybody knows, is this a short squeeze candidate? Because the stock, they had a kind of a lousy quarter. Stock was in the doldrums. It was getting hit with tariff issues and other issues. And then all of a sudden, this ad comes and everybody's talking about their genes, so they're going to get sales. The stock is up. Trump is involved, and that's always a wild card. And I noticed the short interest was pretty high. Can you unpack a little bit here?
Yeah. So, the short interest in the stock has been like 31%.
And we're talking American Apparel. Just make sure no, excuse me.
That's right.
I get this
AEO, American Eagle.
American Eagle, not American Apparel. Yes.
American Eagle. The ticker is AEO, just to be clear. One of the things that's fascinating, the short sellers were down a little bit. Sorry, they were up previous to all this hoopla around, the ad and the criticism of the ad, and then the blowback on the criticism. The short selling community was actually up. The stock wasn't doing so great. Right. They're up about 40 or 50 million bucks. Not a huge amount, but it's not a huge market cap stock. This ad comes out, the blowback happens. All of a sudden, shorts are down. It becomes sort of kind of squeezy. But what the real story is, Charlie, is that the active, long institutional players have plowed into this stock. So the ratio, right? The ratio of active long to short has increased wildly. And so you've got you used to have active long to short was 2.7. It's almost doubled to about 4.5 or to 4.2 times. So
you see retail active long, you see retail.
No, not retail active long. Institutional active long, 4 times the amount of shorts.
So that's a buy and hold community, right?
No, those are the people that actually trade.
Okay.
They're daily market active participants. So what's happened, this is what happens, is that data is important because news drives markets. And this is a classic example of where you see the balance between active institutional money, meaning people that are in the market every day, and short interest. When that seesaw flips, like it just did, the stock explodes. And that's exactly what just happened.
And it's starting to it's been up essentially.
It's been up.
And the Trump tweet obviously
Yeah, I just sent it in overdrive.
helped.
So we've seen a massive amount, almost a 55% increase in active institutional longs in stock over the last week.
I mean, that is so amazing that, that a woman known for her, I guess, cleavage, not exactly her acting, although she's apparently a good actress.
She's pretty good.
Yeah, but known for her cleavage becomes both a cultural symbol and now,
Well, she's also the separator between what's a meme stock and what's institutionally driven.
I know, and what's on Wall Street. And by the way, they're basically holding on to their gains here. I noticed. Just took a quick look at market. You have any other picks for us this week?
Yeah, we do. We have a couple of different things this week. Just to go over what we did last week, we were batting about 50%, and just in the number, we had 3 up, 3 down, 3 neutral, but the overall return was up about 4.5%. This week on Monday, you have Beret Mining. We're bullish on that. And then on Tuesday, we have CLTD, which is an online gaming systems company. We're bearish on that. So those are the 2 picks this week.
Okay. So it's kind of a light week where a lot of people are away. This is the doldrums of the summer. But what's not mired in the doldrums of the summer is the New York City mayoral race, whether they're a socialist, whether a former governor who didn't have such a great run at the end of New York, whether the current mayor who's been besieged by scandal left and right, or whether a Republican with a beret who's a fixture in New York City, I would say politics and media for many years. And full disclosure, a friend of mine, Curtis Sliwa, founder of the Guardian Angels. More than that, he's in the media. He does great TV, does great radio. One of the toughest guys I know. When during the social justice riots, when those things got really nasty, I mean physically nasty. I mean, Curtis was out there with the did I say Green Berets? I meant Guardian Angels. They're almost like the Green Berets. If there is a Green Beret sort of equivalent to protect strap hangers and people in New York City, average people, it's a Guardian Angel. And trust me, I've been on trains where it looked rough, and then you see a guy with a red beret, and you're like, thank God. And Curtis, thanks for joining us. It's an amazing organization. This is your second time running for mayor. You kind of got a shot this time. We just point out New York is a Democratic city. Last time you got 30% of the vote, which is not nothing, but as you know, Eric Adams 70% easily won the Democrat. But now we're in a 4-way race, and I guess your calculus is you can win this, and that's why you're not dropping out and trying to coalesce again around one person that could prevent Mamdani, Zohran Mamdani, who is everybody knows would be disastrous given his left-wing proposals and defund the police and everything else.
Well, you look at it, Charles. 6 weeks ago, there was a chorus like sirens that were urging me to crash into the rocks, to drop out of this race. And I said, why should anybody drop out? First off, Cuomo was 40 points ahead of Zohran Mamdani. Most people didn't even know who Zohran Mamdani was. And then he thrashed Cuomo, who admitted that he mailed it in during the primary, and he ran a lousy race to try to secure the Democratic nomination. So he's at fault that Zohran Mamdani is the nominee of the party. Then you have Eric Adams, who's been a failed mayor. If he had been a halfway decent mayor, you would have had a Democratic incumbent running against me for the second round. It would have been Adams versus Sliwa, maybe another independent or two. But this is all the result of the failure of the traditional Democratic Party that has allowed the socialists slowly but surely to encroach their party. First with Bernie Sanders, remember? When Hillary wanted to show that, oh, no, I got to show that there's going to be a competitive primary. She allowed someone who's never been a Democrat into the race, who actually won the race if you just counted the caucuses and primaries. Then AOC beats Joe Crowley, who didn't even show up to run a race. He would have been the potential speaker now and not Hakeem Jeffries if he had actually run a race. And then we see Andrew Cuomo, who's like the political zombie, failed to beat Zohran Mamdani, and now he thinks he can beat him now. So we do have 4 candidates. And by the way, nobody's going anywhere. They're all in it.
So nobody's going to drop out. You don't think? Let's just get it on the table. You're not going to drop out, right?
I'm the second major candidate. Remember, Democratic Party, column B, Republican Party, that's the nominee, Curtis Sliwa. I had no challenges this time around in a primary, and I've had universal support of all the elected Republicans. Now you have 3 independents. Now, if they want to play musical chairs on the Titanic, that's fine. That would be Cuomo, Adams, and this guy, Jim Walden. And they want to determine maybe one should be in the final go-round. Let them knock themselves out. But by the way, that should have been done a long time ago. Everybody's name is still going to be on the ballot. And for those who love to follow the numbers, everybody has received some form of matching funds. You have to give it all back. Every nickel, diamond, penny you spent, the candidate must give it back because the candidate is responsible for that money. So that's not going to happen. So let's focus on the reality.
Let me just ask you this, Curtis. Have you been asked by President Trump to drop out? Because he's making noises that he's talking to people about whether he's going to support somebody. I mean, has he spoken with you at all?
Charles, I'm the only guy he doesn't talk to. If you read the New York Times yesterday, he talks with Andrew Cuomo. He talks with Eric Adams. I would say to the president, on which one of the burner phones are you having a conversation with him? Because Eric Adams had 7 burner phones. So he obviously has a very good time talking to them. He doesn't talk to me. I haven't been to Mar-a-Lago. I haven't been to Washington, D.C. I am the Republican candidate. But let me tell you, if Donald Trump embraces you, look what happened to Eric Adams. He dropped precipitously in the polls. He's down to 7%. He lost all of his black support. Now he seems to be talking to Cuomo. You watch Cuomo's numbers drop. Donald Trump is very popular around the country, even in parts of New York State. But in New York City, if you have the embrace of Donald Trump or people perceive you as having a relationship with Donald Trump, you have no shot at becoming the next mayor of the city of New York. Just follow the numbers.
Have you ever had a relationship with him in any which way? I mean, you've been critical of him, haven't you?
I had a love-hate relationship like most New Yorkers. Then again, you know, if I would have called him Hitler so many years ago, I might be the vice president now like J.D. Vance. So you know how New Yorkers are. I've agreed with Trump. I've disagreed with Trump. In fact, this was the ironic occasion. We were both awarded the New York State Conservative Party annual awards back in '86, given to us in the 69th Street Armory. I looked at Donald Trump. He looked at me. I said, "You're not conservative, Donald." And he said, "You're certainly not conservative." So I said, "What do we do?" He said, "Accept the awards and give a good speech." He was not a conservative at that time. I've never been a conservative.
What are you, Ed? Wait. If you're not a conservative, what are you?
I've never run on the Conservative Party.
No, but that doesn't mean. I mean, are you politically? Do you believe in low taxes? Do you believe in?
I believe in slashing taxes. I'm the only candidate here who actually says we got to slash taxes. Remember, your other candidates are all Democrats.
So you're saying you're not a conservative by party membership. You are a conservative, sort of, philosophically, politically, in a sense.
No, but I'm pro-choice. I'm pro-gun control. I'm pro-LGBTQ plus. Pure conservative would generally be opposed to most of those measures. I respect conservatives. They respect me. But I wouldn't want to be the designated member of the Conservative Party line if I don't share in all their values. And quite frankly, when Rudy Giuliani won his 2 terms, he didn't run on the conservative line. And when Michael Bloomberg won his 3 terms, he didn't run on the conservative line. You can't win in New York City.
Okay, before I go, Bob, I know Bob is itching to get in here a question, but I just want to ask one question. If it's 4 of you guys, Mamdani has a better chance of winning than if it's just 2. Mamdani is. Are you suggesting that Mamdani is much of an existential threat to the future of the city as Andrew Cuomo, or or Eric Adams, are you willing to roll the dice that the city gets turned over to Mamdani as you guys, split the vote and he sneaks in with his very rabid left-wing communist almost following?
Charlie, whose fault is that? The Democrats. I'm the only Republican with Republican values. I'm the only pro-business candidate. I will slash the taxes.
I know,
will keep
but
business
who
here.
are we better off with, Adams or Mamdani, in your view?
Wow. That's like two scorpions in a brandy glass.
So are we better off?
Is that what this comes down to?
Are we better off
the best of the worst?
No, are we better off, Mamdani over Cuomo?
Of course, we're better off with anybody but Mamdani. But guess what? The people are going to choose the next mayor. No special interests, no billionaires are going to pick the next mayor. You got to battle Mamdani out in the streets. What have we seen the last few days? Who called Donald Trump? I didn't call Donald Trump. You know where I am? I'm dealing with two women who are workers who got slashed in the subways. It's not a perception of crime like Jessica Tisch would say or Eric Adams. Wall Street, the woman was slashed. 23rd Street, while going to work, the woman was slashed. They're the majority of the workforce. They spend most of the money now. If they're afraid to come to work, or they won't go out after work because they can't afford a yellow cab or an Uber, the city will continue to be in despair. And we're never going to recover unless we have safe streets. I have the plan to hire 7,000 cops. Corporate America has to be concerned that there are more Luigi Mangiones out there, or this nut job who rolled in from Las Vegas and walked into a business enclave that has its own zip code on Park Avenue looking to settle a score with the NFL. Did you see any police out there? Do they have sector patrols? Do they have cops walking a beat who are identifiable? No, because we only have 31,000 cops. So I'm telling the corporate companies that stay here, you better buff up your own private security. You better be layered like you are at the Fox News channel. You got armed guards outside, armed guards downstairs where you have to be processed in as if you were taking an LL flight. And
I think there was one. I think there was one. I think there was one armed guard in that building.
That was it.
Was it? And the guy was doing something else when it was going down. And then he took him out first. And it's a tragic situation. That was under. I don't want to get into a conversation with that, but let's bring Bob in because Bob has, lots of questions for you, Curtis.
Yeah. So Curtis, how would you propose you break the stranglehold that AOC, UMA, and Alex Soros has over the New York Democrats? What's your plan to do that? And you brought up a great point, which is there's been such apathy by the incumbents that it made way for things that people are terrified of. At least I am. As a New Yorker, I'm absolutely terrified of Mamdani and his policies. So what's your plan to break that stranglehold?
Well, first off, I want the moderate Democrats out there, the few that seem to remain, who haven't already fled, like Cuomo told everybody out in the Hamptons, hey, if I lose, I'm off to Florida. Wow, that made me feel real good, like he's going to fight the fight. Of course he's not. He's already got his legs halfway out the door. What you have to do is you have to say Republicans and independents outnumber Republicans 2-1. We cannot let the Democrats treat us like mercenaries or Hessians, like, please help us take our party back. Let them fight their fight. Let's join together in solidarity and have values that people can understand, which is law and order, cut taxes, stop this congestion pricing, these fees and fines that are driving people out, and the quality of life that has been so diminished. Just walk around the streets of New York City. Storefront after storefront is closed. 9 storefronts closed right opposite City Hall that Eric Adams can stare at every day. The reason? Congestion pricing. They don't have enough foot traffic. They can't pay the lease. They're closed. And that makes the city look like it is in a decline. So unlike Eric Adams, who tries to say, we're not just surviving, we're thriving. When you actually scratch the surface, you see that in the last 2 years alone, $112 billion of wealth has escaped the city, with wealthy people deciding they just wanted to reside in Florida. That had nothing to do with Zohran Mamdani. So we need to fix what's functioning now and beat Zohran Mamdani at the ballot box. I start with 28%. I also have an independent protect the animals, independent line. No kill shelters, animal abusers go to jail. That's very favorably received by a lot of women. It doesn't matter what their party affiliation. I get up to 33, 34%. I'm the next mayor of the city of New York. While the three Democrats argue each day, you drop out, you drop out. Who got Trump's call? No, you got Trump's call. Every day, these Democrats start arguing about these non-serious issues. It's a good day for Zohran Mamdani. I'm in the subways tonight. I'm dealing with the slashings of women that took place. Those are the issues that New Yorkers care about, not who got a call from Trump and what is this going to mean in the mayoral election, which is nonsense.
You know, Curtis, you are the quintessential New Yorker. People identify your red beret with New York. Certainly, we all do that live here. Mental health. Now, you see it more than probably anybody. Would you look into past administrations' expenditures on mental health and where that money went to and the effectiveness of that expenditure?
This is the danger of one party rule, whether it's Republicans or Democrat. We had Comrade Bill de Blasio and his wife, the grifter, Charlene, who took $1.5 billion over 5 years out of the budget and supposedly spent it on a program called Thrive for the care of the emotionally disturbed. I haven't heard not one person say, while gripped in deep depression, I was so happy that that counselor from Thrive was available to me to save me maybe from taking my life or hurting my life. I would immediately launch an investigation. Where did all that money go? I don't know. Maybe it's in the Cayman Islands, in Panama. Maybe it's in Dubai. Maybe it's being laundered somewhere else. But all the Democrats complained about it. They had subpoena power, but they never investigated what was the source of the money and where did it end up. What we need to do is bring back the homeless outreach unit that Bill de Blasio actually eliminated when he took $1 billion out of the police budget. Now, Eric Adams, I wore police bulletproof vests for 22 years. He had a chance to put that $1 billion back when he became mayor. No, voila, he found $7 billion to take care of migrants. Where did he find that money? And how come he never put back the money to actually help the police and put that homeless unit out there who are men and women? They knew the homeless. They knew the directors of the shelters. They knew the security. They did a fabulous job. Now we have an assortment of different agencies that we're wasting millions of dollars on, and we have more emotionally disturbed and homeless than ever before living in the subways, the parks, and the streets. Under my administration, and I know we're going to be sued, I'm going to warn Corporation Counsel, you may have friends that you like to go out and have cocktails and steak with because you hit that stamp, settle, settle, settle. You settle nothing. If they sue us and they practice their martial art all day, I sue civil libertarian groups. It could be legal aid, whatever legal entity. We're going into court. We're battling for the taxpayer. We're going to win some. We're going to lose some. But we're taking the homeless off the subways. We're taking the emotionally disturbed and getting them the mental health care they deserve. We did it for the migrants. We won't even do it for our own people, most of them African-American, some of them veterans. Shame on us. Shame on Eric Adams. Shame on Cuomo. Shame on de Blasio. They had an opportunity to do it, and they chose not to do it.
Curtis, you had an opening, I guess, salvo meeting with the business community with Kathy Wild of the New York City Partnership. It was a small meeting. It was you, her, and a few other people, some of her staff, I guess, some people that you brought. She's promised you to meet broadly with her membership, right? These are the big real estate developers. Is that accurate?
Yes. In fact, I have to give credit where credit is due, which to you, Charlie. You wrote a piece in the Post. You suggested, well, Catherine Wild should meet with Curtis because he knows more about the city of New York than anyone else. And the business community has not given him that opportunity. Didn't give it to me in 2021, should now. She definitely reached out. What I did, Charlie, based on advice I had received from others, because it appears that, especially in the business community up in the suites, not in the streets, that taking this beret off is a key.
Well, I did raise the question whether you would take that off.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So let's say between the both of you, one of you had that as an issue. I wasn't born with the beret, as I told Catherine Wilde. When I die, I won't have the beret on my head. As you know, it's ashes to ashes, dust to dust, no matter how much wealth you might be able to accumulate in your life. And I had a regular conversation with Catherine Wilde. We agreed to disagree on subjects. She's going to put together a forum of the key business leaders in September. And you know what we bonded on, Charlie?
I heard.
Stray cats.
I heard she has what, 25 stray cats or something?
She has 23 cats, 6 dogs, all of whom she's rescued in the large home she lives in. And I'm telling you, woman after woman after woman, they actually like their pets more than people. And I really can't blame
have a lot of you have stray cats, right? Just to be clear.
I have 6 now who are the older cats that we couldn't adopt out and we couldn't foster out. But my wife, Nancy, has dedicated her life to rescuing cats and dogs and helping other rescue groups. That is a powerful voting bloc. They are one-issue voters. Even Catherine Wilde, as experienced as she is, says, I know quite a few of the people in that field, and they are one-issue voters.
Listen, my first reaction when you said that was like, what, are you kidding me? But let's be real clear here. Trump actually did that to his benefit during the 2024 election, where he went after crypto. And he said, they knew it was kind of a one issue. All these people who hold crypto are very one issue oriented, and they voted.
De Blasio did it too with bicycles, right?
Yeah,
that was his issue.
I mean, it's workable. But let me ask you this: you talk to the business community because you want to like hang out with these guys because they're really rich, but they're kind of boring. No offense to Bob's customers. But they do. That is where the money is. I mean, aren't they kind of locked in with Cuomo and Adams at this point? It's like not even worth into them.
Well, remember, they put all their money into Cuomo, and they were sadly disappointed. And instead of taking a deep breath and relaxing, and I thought many of them are into hedge funds, so they hedge. Immediately, they got involved in a bad relationship. How many of us have had bad relationships? And the warning we've had is don't jump into a new relationship. So they jumped in with Eric Adams, the most corrupt mayor in the history of New York City. And that's saying a lot. And they have been disappointed ever since. He can't even get matching funds. He's so corrupt.
But he's getting their money, isn't he?
Oh, they gave him $1.5 million in the real estate industry in one night. And I guarantee both of you guys, because I've known Eric Adams for more than 40 years, a lot of that money will never see the light of day in the campaign. He brought all of his old criminal cronies back, and they were on parade in his re-announcement of his intention to get reelected as mayor. It was almost like an FU to everybody.
Well, let's back up a minute, though. Have they given you any money? Have you gotten any sizable donations from the business community, from big roles?
Charlie, the people of New York, I just got $2 million in matching funds. Not even Zohran the Magnificent could out fundraise me this last cycle. So the average donation is $119. Remember, you can max out at $250, in which you get $8 on a dollar. You can give me as much as $2,100. We will get the maximum of $8 million. We will spend it wisely. And most importantly, if a billionaire or millionaire wants to somehow make a donation to me, I'm not going to turn it away.
But they haven't yet. The business community.
They're too busy getting hoodwinked, first by Cuomo and now by Adams. Come on. By now they should realize these two together can't beat Zohran Mamdani. They're old news. People have had it.
Let me just, listen, this is not me speaking. This is when I talk to people out there. They say, ask Curtis this. Why does he spend so much of his time attacking Adams and Cuomo when, if you think about it, Mamdani is so out there on so many issues, between defunding the police, gave the finger to the Christopher Columbus. I mean, this is all on his Facebook page. Or
how about seizing the means of production?
Seizing the means of production.
I mean, what the heck?
He wants to give make New York the epicenter of free trans surgeries, according to someone from the Democratic Socialists of America who says they worked on Zohran's campaign. I mean, this is all out there. It's like right there. He's a walking book of insanity. But you spend a lot of time attacking the other two guys and not a lot of time attacking him. Is that why is that? I mean, is that
that's it understood, Charlie. First off, you guys get bent out of shape when he goes free bus fare. Do you realize half the people don't pay the bus fare to begin with now?
Right.
There is no fare enforcement. Who's responsible for that? Cuomo and Adams. You're able now to get on the subway without paying. 1/3 of the people don't even bother paying. That's part of the reason we have this extra tax congestion pricing that's killing small businesses. So I'm not a fool. I don't jump at everything that Zohran Mamdani says. Of course, he's a danger to New York. Of course, check the box. You want to call him a communist, a socialist, an anti-Semite? He doubles down on that. But to suddenly act like, oh, we're not responsible for this. I hold all the Democrats responsible for this because they allowed him to grow and develop. And when AOC declared Astoria the People's Republic of America, every elected official there is a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. I didn't see Eric Adams go there and battle them. Cuomo never left the Hamptons. I was in there running candidates, moderate Democrats and Republicans against them. You must battle them in the streets, and you must battle them for the souls, hearts, and minds of millennials and Gen Zs. I hate to tell this to you two guys, because you're baby boomers like I am. We're no longer the majority. We're no longer the majority of the voters.
So Curtis, why don't the issues of safety, cleanliness, and efficiency resonate with the younger voters? It obviously doesn't.
I'll tell you what resonates. I'm married to a millennial who's an attorney who owes so much money as a graduate of Brooklyn Law. The beginning of the month, and this is true for all the millennials, they got to pay the student loan off, which is crushing. You don't, you lose your license. For whatever you're doing, you could be a CPA, you could be a lawyer. They'll pull your license and they demand that you make payments, and the VIG keeps growing bigger and bigger. It's like as if the Bonanno crime family was coming to bend your leg and stuff it in your pocket. Now you got to pay your rent. You're 35 years old. You say, wait, I did exactly what you guys said. I got a white-collar job. I'm making $150,000 a year, 4 years of college, 2 years of graduate school. I'm still living with 6 people sharing an apartment as if it was still the dormitory. And at the end of the month, I have bupkis. They're angry. The cost of living is so high. So anger has pushed them in the direction of Zohran Mamdani, who says, free, free, free. We'll give everything away that's free. And we know that's specious. So you go into those neighborhoods, which I do, the ones that he won by more than 70%, and you begin to have conversation with them. My whole campaign team is made up of millennials and Gen Zers who are not going to be bamboozled by AOC or Zohran Mamdani. But if you don't go into those areas, Cuomo doesn't go in there, Eric Adams doesn't go in there, and you make fun of the millennials and the Gen Zers, or you do what some of the people on my side have done and make fun of Zohran Mamdani's religion, the Muslim religion, or his culture, guess what? You just empowered 1 million Muslims who can vote in New York City, who culturally are very conservative and politically, to rally around Zohran Mamdani. Shame on us for allowing outsiders, Republicans, some in the House, to do that, because all they've made this is David versus Goliath. And I wish the president would stop attacking Zohran Mamdani every day he does. Zohran doesn't have to run against me, Adams, or Cuomo, because maybe it's David versus Goliath.
Maybe Trump wants him to win, to point to look at New York City.
And now you're on to something, Charlie.
And I think
there's a wing of the Republican Party that feels that Zohran Mamdani as mayor is a ticket to the re-election in the midterms, and this way Trump will get an additional 2 years unfettered. You're on to something there.
Well, and you were on to something when you said that, Eric Adams and Cuomo, the sort of leadership of the Democratic Party, never really have launched a concerted attack against the Zohran Mamdani wing of the party. They kind of embraced it in many ways.
That's right.
So that leaves me to think, and by the way, one reason why they did that, as you know, Curtis, Zohran Mamdanis are all over New York City government. They're all over the city council. They're all up in, he's an assemblyman. I'm sure his views aren't that heterodox in Albany when it comes to like very socialist views. There's plenty of socialists in New York City government, New York State government, which in many ways runs New York City. If I guess part of me says, why do we even fight this? We're outnumbered, normal people who just want lower taxes, safer streets, smaller government, a better education bureaucracy that doesn't pay the administrators more than they pay the teachers, stuff that you've spoke about, more cops, obviously, to make business flourish. If we're so much in the minority, why don't we just give the city to them, let them destroy it, which they will, and we'll start from zero like Detroit. Detroit is doing pretty good right now with a decent.
Charlie, that took 20 years. I mean, you willing to trash it for 20 years?
I think it won't take that long. This will be a faster burn given how crazy Mamdani is. What do you say to that, Curtis? Just let it burn and let's move out for a little bit and come back when he's
Charlie, you must be in a drug-induced psychosis. I believe in proof.
By the way, this is gonna make the clip reel that we send out.
I believe in proof don't move. You fight for what you know is right. There are too many people who out of fright are already fleeing before Zohran Mamdani can measure the traits.
Well, that's what I mean. Who's left?
Well, no, there are plenty of people who are left. But history is replete with situations where we have had socialists and communists in our government here in New York City. You see, that's the problem. We don't teach history in school. We don't teach civics. We don't teach geography. By golly, I have 3 sons, right? And I asked my youngest son, Hunter, I said, do they teach you current events? They all go to public school. No, Daddy. Why not? They don't want to offend anybody. So the kids are not learning about American history. They're certainly not learning about New York City history. That's how I knew there were communists in government and socialists in government. And somehow we survived it all because that's what propelled others to take a different political route to deprive them of power at the ballot box. We're so afraid to give people the power to actually vote. Oh, I remember in 2016, Donald Trump started at 3%, right? After he came down that escalator in Trump.
Oh, yeah.
He had that first debate. He wiped them out, and everybody started dropping out saying, my vote should go to you. We got to stop Trump, right? Ted Cruz will defend us. He'll prevent Trump from becoming the nominee. Every time people dropped out, the votes didn't go to the people they intended to go. More of them ended up going to Donald Trump. So this dropout nonsense doesn't work. I have my supporters. Cuomo has his supporters. Eric Adams has their supporters. They got baggage. Adams is a crook. And with, let's face it, with everywhere I go with Andrew Cuomo's name, they say, oh, you're slapping fannies and killing grannies. He refuses to apologize for that. He was responsible for that.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get bogged down into the nursing home thing because remember, the Hospitals Association were pushing people out the door trying to get him to do that. But it's more complicated. But I clearly he's got baggage from both of those issues.
Sure.
And whether it's perception or reality, there's no doubt, and he hasn't really addressed it. I agree with you. So what comes next for you? You're just going to keep grinding here?
Hey, I'm the only one with momentum. I just got my matching funds. I out-fundraised Zohran Mamdani, and I'm out in the streets now to point out what a sanctimonious hypocrite this guy is, who hates the police, yet who's driving him around and cradling him in a taxpayer-funded SUV. The NYPD 24/7, 365 gun toting. Now, Charlie, you know I was the object of a hit by Gotti Sr. to Gotti Jr., the Gambino crime family. They air raided my lower extremities with 5 hollow point bullets. You would think I would want security. I told them, because they offered me a detail, which they always do to the second party candidate, spare me. Put the cops in the street. We desperately need more cops. I don't need the protection. But I'm going to point that out to people. What a sanctimonious hypocrite who goes over to Uganda and is protected by commandos wearing masks with loaded AK-47 rifles. We've seen this in third world dictators before. Do as I say, but not as I do. But you battle Zohran in the streets, not the suites. And you got to stop this nonsense of talking who's going to drop out because, Charlie, nobody's dropping out. you're going to have 4 candidates on the ballot up until November 4th. The people are going to have to decide. We got to start talking about the issues and not about all these nonsensical, who got a call from Trump? What do you think of Trump? Trust me, Donald Trump, don't call me. Everybody else who is a political sort of wannabe like David Patterson, what did he do? He first embraced Eric Adams. Then he had a cup of coffee with Jim Walden, 1%. Then he embraced Cuomo. I told David Patterson, do me a favor. You like me? He said, yes. Don't endorse me. Don't have anything to do with me because it's the kiss of death. Trump would be best to be Switzerland. Stay out of here. He should be meeting with Putin, Zelensky, which he's trying to do. Solve the peace in Ukraine and Russia, which has become a meat grinder for people getting killed and has destabilized Europe. Those are far more important issues than who is the next mayor of the city of New York. I'll battle Zohran Mamdani in the streets. That's where you're going to win it, in the subways, in the streets. That's not where Cuomo or Adams are.
Okay, so go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
Thanks, Charlie. So the first day of your administration, what are the first 2 or 3 things you would do?
Well, the first, in advance of that, I'm going to tell you who my cabinet will be. Okay. I've already gotten on board Larry Kudlow and economic advisors that he has worked with, his own wife who helped with messaging for President Ronald Reagan. I have Democrats for Curtis Sliwa, led by Robert Holden, who's head of the Common Sense Caucus, who is a Democrat in City Hall. He's term limited. I'm going to ask him to take care of the bloated DOE, Department of Education, that spends 1/3 of our budget, $41 billion. And what do we get in return? 100,000 less students. 1/3 of the students are students every day. You have 2/3 of the students who can't read or write or do math at 4th grade level. You got 200 schools with less than 200 students, and they won't even consolidate them. You got to take on the UFT and Chairman Mulgrew because he's running the Department of Education. And you have to tell all of your department heads, because the mayor is responsible, we're going to fight. We're going to win some, we're going to lose some, but we must protect the taxpayers who are getting bled out. $116 billion budget in New York City. Florida has more of a population than New York State now. The whole budget for Florida is less than the budget for New York City. And all they keep coming up with is new fees and fines and speed cameras and red light cameras. By the time you come in from New Jersey, you not only busted a rim on the potholes that haven't been fixed, you basically extorted for like $150 for parking. You got a speeding ticket that you didn't even know about, and you know what you're saying under your breath. I'm never coming back to New York City again because all they do is pick my pockets. What we're going to start doing is saying to the people, whether you live here or you're visiting from somewhere else, we're not picking your pockets anymore, and we're slashing taxes. Now, I know a lot of people saying, why are you going to slash taxes? Well, on those that you control, like city income tax, you have corporate tax rate, 17.5% with the state and the city. Miami has 5.5% corporate tax. Now we know why all the corporations want to go flee south of the Mason-Dixon line. And no income taxes. I mean, that's the other thing. Texas and Florida, no income taxes. So understand, and the young millennials and Gen Zers, they can barely survive. They have negotiable skills, and they'll be out of here because, as both of you gentlemen know, you don't need to be in New York City any longer. You don't need to have a shingle here. You can operate in Butte, Montana, and participate in the global economy.
Well, Butte, Montana sounds like a good place to go until they get things fixed around here. I'm only kidding. I'm not going to Butte, Montana. Curtis, if you don't win, what do you do next?
I stay and I fight. Let's assume it's Zohran Mamdani. I'm not afraid of a socialist or a communist. I make the good fight. I organize in 350 communities. And one thing I must continue to do, whether I win or whether I lose, is keep these lithium-ion battery warehouses out of the outer boroughs. They're popping up all over the place. These are the most dangerous things imaginable in residential areas. If they go on fire, and 40 of them have throughout the country, it takes 5 or 6 days to put out the fire, and you can't put it out with a fire department.
Is this like is this like a booming business we haven't heard? Now, just so you know, my wife grew up in Greenpoint, Williamsburg, Greenpoint, right near the tanks. everybody was talking about the toxins from the tanks, and they shut them down eventually, as you know. But now, tanks are being replaced by lithium battery warehouses.
That's right. And again, why? Because the city of New York has gone crazy with the city of yes. It's city of yes on steroids. You don't have to go through zoning operations. You don't have to meet with the city council.
What is the city of
You don't
yes?
have to go to
What
the
is that?
community board.
What does that mean? City of yes.
That means pretty much as a developer or a realtor, you have entree to put up whatever development you want without having to jump through any of the hoops. I'm the only candidate saying no to the city of yes. The other three, Adams, Cuomo, Mamdani, for different reasons, are all in favor of the city of yes. I am protecting the blue collar working class workers who have invested in a home, part of the reason they've stayed here, and the first generation of immigrants who know the American dream comes with investing your money in a home, the legal immigrants. And I will fight for them because without them in the outer boroughs, that's it. It's let's remake the sequel to Escape from New York. Let's call Kurt Russell out of retirement.
Well, let's leave it there, Curtis. Curtis Sliwa, the Republican candidate for mayor, not giving up, not dropping out. So far, not talking to Donald Trump. Thanks for joining us, Curtis.
And not only that, on occasion, depending on the situation,
not without the beret.
I take the red beret. And your column started it, Charlie. Your column started it. The steam fitters, right, said to me, Curtis, I hate to break this to you, but when you walk into our union hall, because they had dropped Cuomo like a bad habit, when you talk to the union members, you can't wear your beret because we got the flag there. And I looked at all the union guys and said, you think I would give up this opportunity because I felt somewhat soiled because I couldn't wear my red beret? Of course I'd take my red beret off.
I'm glad you're taking it off for us. Thank you, Curtis. Good luck, man.
Thank you very much, Curtis. Great talking to you.
Thank you both, guys. And Charlie, thanks for starting the juggernaut, because now the business community is at least lending me an ear, because Charlie said, hey, I've had to listen to this guy for years talk my ear off at Bamonte's in North Williamsburg. It's worth a listen.
And yes, Bamonte's, Nicola's in Manhattan, Bamonte's in Williamsburg. I've heard your spiel for years. And by the way, and I think this is kind of what I hope you achieve on the campaign trail, is that you are a smart guy and you understand issues and you can unpack issues. And I think we did some of that today, where you're talking about the education bureaucracy. You're talking about, not just, you're not just a man on the street, but you know how the budget works. You know how the city works. You're a student of that. And you deserve to have a voice here. And let me report back to me if they give you a real voice at the New York City partnership, because that should happen.
Charlie and Bob, just let them know Curtis knows where all the bones are and who buried them. And if you'd like to know, have a sit down with Curtis Sliwa. You'll learn a lot.
I'm sure we will. Thank you, Curtis. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bob, that was an amazing interview. I mean,
wow.
By the way, at the end, when you asked that question, what are the three things you want to do? That was literally what I was going to ask him. So I'm glad you got that out.
Well, I'm learning something from you, Charlie.
Yes.
Rubbing off.
It's great. And I'm learning something from you every day. But one thing I will say is that, he has this rep as this outer borough guy with the accent and the Green Beret thing, which, by the way, if you don't know anything about the Green Berets, this guy has
Red Beret.
Red Berets, but they're like the Green Berets. I know I keep saying the Green Berets, but it's
a compliment.
It's a compliment, and I'm conflating them because it's kind of real. I mean, when you see a guardian angel, and I've seen Curtis in action. I saw him during the social justice riots, protecting buildings, people throwing stuff at him, blocking it with his arm. I mean, this guy's the real thing. And the fact that, on our broadcast, we let people speak, we ask questions. I mean, I broke his chops a little bit. You could tell, why he's going after Cuomo and Adams more than Mamdani. And, he had a good answer for that. But he's a smart dude. He knows government. He's at least as educated as any one of those people in government. He can answer and he can talk on his feet, obviously. He should not be underestimated, I don't believe. And I hope the business community pays attention to him, because if they're really worried about their future, he's probably the best guy to protect it. If you think about it, if you think about lower taxes, tough on crime, go down the line, not going to, going to protect their interest. I mean, based on what he's saying, he wants to protect their interest.
Yep.
I'm missing the education system. I mean, he's always there and everything.
No, I agree with you. He came across as someone that was pretty deep into the detail of the what was spending, who controls what, how things are allocated, where things go, how to get things done. And I wish he would talk more about effective policy because you have me saying now the Green Beret, the Red Beret is such a branded thing for him. It'd be great to get more out of him. Hey, I actually can manage the city.
Yeah, and I'm a smart
This is
guy.
how I'm going to go do it.
He's a smart dude. He should show it more, and maybe he will. But that's not our job. Our job is to talk about the issues and get people to explain their side of the story, and explain the issues. Full disclosure: I am going to call up Cuomo's office and try to arrange an interview with him on risk and return. I am going to put a calling to both Mamdani's office and Eric Adams. I'm not holding my breath on Mamdani. Apparently, he's not taking many press calls unless it's like.
Well, it's a good strategy, right? Protect the quarterback.
Yeah, I guess so. But I guess it worked for Joe Biden in 2020. It didn't work so well in 2024. But any event, good stuff, Bob. Enjoy the weekend. I want to thank everybody from tuning in to another riveting edition of Risk and Return. I'm Charlie Gasparino.
And I'm Bob Sloan.
See you next week.